So guys, this is a continuation of all my vlogs regarding the OINP, the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, which is under the Provincial Nominee Program. So once you have all of those documents with you, you receive the PNP certificate and you have the letter of support from the province, you can decide whether you want to apply for a closed work permit or go directly with the permanent residency. So it depends on your nominations. If your nomination has a restriction, meaning you cannot apply for a bridging open work permit once you submit your permanent residency. So in a case where your visa are about to expire while waiting for your permanent residency, you need to have your own status. So with that, you need to submit for a closed work permit. If your nomination has a restrictions, again, what I'm saying is, if your nomination is with restrictions, you need to submit a closed work permit to extend your visa while waiting for your permanent residency, or you can apply for it directly. But if your nomination has no restrictions, meaning once you submit your permanent residency and you receive your AOR, you can submit directly a bridging open work permit. So if you want to do it your own for submitting your work permit application for a closed work permit, then you have to watch this video. I will guide you on how you can submit your applications within 9 steps. So number 1, there is a IMM 5710 forms that you have to fill in. So this forms is standard form which normally used by a lot of applications like student, worker, even you're about to extend your students and worker status. So if you're applying for a closed work permit, you would be like used to it. So it's like straightforward answering the questions on the form. And then number 2 is you need to include the offer of employment. So you have to be careful with this. When we say offer of employment, it's not just the offer of employment coming from your employer. It needs to be the same offer of employment from your employer, but it's submitted to the employer portal. So what does it mean? The employer portal is the portal for the employer where they can submit their offer to hire a staff or a person. So they have to pay for the compliance fee and then submit the offer of employment. But before that, you need to have your nomination, of course, your PNP certificate, because that would exempt you from having a LMIA. So you would become like a LMIA exempted, and then your employer can do now the submissions of their offer of employment on the employer portal. So if you are not a PNP nominated, if you are not nominated by the PNP, meaning your employer cannot proceed with this, they have to have an active LMIA for you to be able to submit for a closed work permit. So yeah, so for the offer of employment, you need to have a copy of the offer that they have submitted on the employer portal plus the compliance fee. Those 2 documents are very important for these applications. Without those 2, your application will be rejected right away. So number 3 is your PNP certificate. What is the PNP certificate? These are the certificates that been provided to you by the provincial nomination. Like for my case in the OINP, I received a certificate coming from the OINP. This states all the information regarding your nomination, your employer, your NOC, and all of that things. So you need to have a copy of that and attach on this application. Please note that your certificate must be valid while submitting your application or even submitting your PR application. In the case that your certificate is already expired, then you have to contact first your provincial territory to ask for a valid certificate. Number 4 is the letter of support from the province. So normally once they provide you a certificate, it comes along with a letter of support from the province for you to apply for a work permit. So for the OINP with the restrictions certificate, they comes with the letter of support. This would be like enables you to submit a work permit and saying that they are supporting you to have your work permit. Number 5, of course, is your passport copy, the front page of your passport. Number 6 is the digital photo. So this is very important, of course. Make sure that your photo is not less than 6 months upon application. And number 7, the family member proof of status. So if you have a family with you here in Canada, you need to show them what's the status of your family in here. If they are applying with you, then you have to show what's their current status in Canada, if they are in temporary resident, a student, or in a PGWP permit. So all of those copies of this valid proof of status you have to attach. Next is the proof that you meet the requirements of the job offer being offered. So most likely you need to attach the resume along with your educational background, and for me, I also attach the full employment letter coming from the previous employer, just to show that you are really qualified for this job that being offered to you. And the number 9 would be the client information. So it's any informations for yourself that could help you, could help the officer, in reviewing your documents. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you will stand by for the next video, and I hope it helped you in submitting your work permit applications. If you have any questions or anything, you can comment down below, and then I will try my best to provide your response as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.